Have you ever fallen in love with someone in a dream, and waking up feels like you're missing something? What was the dream and your story? Wasn't there a guy in Reddit who fell in a short coma during which he had a full-fledged family? I think it messed him up bad. When I was in 6th grade, there was this girl in my class who I fought with all the time. We hated each other and would pick on each other constantly. About this time, people in my class were huge on the theory that if someone was thinking about you while you were asleep, you would have a dream about them. Positive thoughts ended in a positive dream. Bad thoughts meant a bad dream. And love meant a love sex dream. I ended up having a dream about her one night and we were married. We had such an amazing relationship and loved each other and our baby. I woke up and had a crush on her for a long time after that. Convinced she might like me too. Nothing ever came of it. But I faked a relationship with her our freshman year just to make her mad. It was so funny. I also have dreams that I am still together with my ex. Before she cheated on me. Broke up a little over a year ago. I'm so happy in the dreams and have such strong feelings for her. When I wake up I think we are still together for a couple minutes until I realize how abusive and horrible she was. I feel so empty after those dreams and I still miss feeling that way. She was the only relationship I've had. And feel like I'm missing out on a lot of good feelings and emotions. Oh boy. Finally somewhere I can tell this story. The exact details of how I met this woman are a bit hazy. But I was on a cliff. She was sitting next to me. Her beauty like a goddess. Her gaze so warm and comforting. She said that she knew something was bothering me. She could feel it. And told me to pour my soul out. That she will listen. I was going through some rough times. And I'm not the kind of person to open up to my friends. But here I felt I could. We talked for what seemed like hours. Laughed and cried. We were there until the sun set. After that she said she had to go. And that she hoped we meet again someday. I turned my head for a second to look at the sunset. And when I looked back at her, she was gone. I have never felt so at peace with anyone in my life before. This wasn't a romantic kind of love. There was no lust. It was just pure as best as I can describe it. When I woke up, I finally felt at peace. After months, I couldn't forget it for a few days. And even looked for her face in the crowd but couldn't find her, and after some time I just stopped thinking about it. But I never forgot. Someday, I do hope we meet again. I dreamt I had a baby girl. She was so precious and little. I woke up and I missed her. I would dream of her often. It's unlikely I will have children, so it's a sad dream to have. When I was in my early 20s I had a dream where I was getting married. My whole family was there. And I was at the altar, waiting for my bride. It got to the part where she was walking down the aisle. It was so surreal. Everything felt so real. I was nervous and excited. When she got up to the altar, I got a good look at her. She was stunning. Absolutely beautiful. I didn't know her, nor did she look like anyone I know. But I felt like I had known her my whole life. And I was deeply in love with her. She looked at me and smiled. And as I opened my mouth to say something, I woke up. I sat up and with tears in my eyes. And that was that. I was back to the reality of being single college student. Did it? Oh wow. Not sure I deserve it. But thank you so much for the awards. Didn't expect this many responses. I'm at work ATM but I'll try to reply to as many as I can. I fell in love with this French girl named Annalisa who I met at a small cafe. We went through our whole relationship, culminating in a trip to Disneyland Paris. I woke up in the middle of us buying our tickets. I still think about her sometimes even though her face has pretty much gone from memory since I had this dream about 5 years ago. Not exactly that, but I do sometimes dream of an ex that I still desperately love. In the dreams we are together and happy. When I wake up, after a few seconds, I realize it was a dream and the feeling of loss and pain is very, very real and strong, comma. In my dreams it is mostly my crush, but I'm still putting it here. So each night when I'm sleeping and that day I'm feeling depressed or down or anything like this, she always shows up and talks to me. She always gets me back up. I hope one day I can tell her about these dreams and that she knows how much she means to me. When I was about 10 years old, I had a dream that I was in a bright, glowing white place, and suddenly a man in a white gown stood before me. He had gorgeous, wavy blonde hair, He was wearing a white gown. I had never seen this person in real life, but in the dream, I recognized him immediately. I immediately broke down sobbing because I missed him so much. He said something like, "I miss you too, but don't worry, we'll meet again someday." I was greatly relieved to hear him say this. When I woke up I was completely devastated. I tried to tell my mom about the dream but I broke down crying whenever I tried to talk about it. The dream was so vividly real that to this day I believe I may see this man again. When I think about how much he meant to me, I still have to fight back tears. I dreamt that I was a prisoner of a high-tech facility and being experimented on with various amounts of torture. Every scientist or people I meet there in general are extremely cold and disgusted of me except for the counselor that asks me questions. Like how I felt on certain experiments on me or how I lived before getting here. She wasn't some angel, but she was sympathetic to my pain that I felt more and more dependent on her sessions to feel normal. Then one day, there was an explosion in the facility that shuts down the locks on the doors and I tried to get out. However, there were already 2 soldiers out trying to stop me. I was kicked down and they were about to shoot when bullets were shot to their heads, killing the 2 soldiers instantly. It was the counselor. She pulled me and got me out of the facility somehow. And then I woke up. I felt a bit of a hole in my chest knowing that in my dream, there was someone who would talk to me. That it wasn't just their job, but they were willing to help me too. I met the most astonishing and warm man in my life in a dream. We were already friends. The setting was a lake with very fine sand on the shore, a short wooden dock, and long lime green grass growing on the sides of it. I just remember us walking together and playing around. He playfully pushed me into the water off the dock. I remember having my eyes open as I looked up to the surface, breaking the water and seeing his face. He was laying on the dock, leaning over to look at me. His beautiful green and blue eyes watched me with such tenderness and his curly blonde locks fell over his face perfectly. Curly and fluffy hair as yellow as corn. I was resting my hands on the small key, gazing up at him when he laughed and only said one thing. I love you before he kissed me. I still remember the sun directly behind him, his figure blocking it partially so it made him appear to be glowing. The rays that were so bright touched his hair and light golden skin. I've yet to see a man as beautiful or bare as him. I think what made me feel so in love with this person in my dream was the sensation of being naked and open. Naked in a sense that we had nothing to hide and felt comfortable with each other. The dream was so serene and surreal. I'll be damned if that wasn't fate giving me a peek at my future. I actually did dream of having a boyfriend and we were on a date. A cat died on our table, but other than that we had wonderful time. I don't think I felt like I missed anything, but it was a nice dream and I had nice time in Slumberland for once. I dreamt about having a dog and when I woke up, I got panicked and searched him and cried. I already answered to a question with this story, but let's go again. I'm a lonely person. I've never had many friends. I don't really trust people. My best and pretty much only friend is going to another high school. Don't get me wrong. I do have a nice life with lovely parents who I love the most. I don't get bullied. I actually defend myself and others. People say I'm a nice listener and good at giving advice. I was a horrible student in middle school, but I have now straight as in high school. I'm an outsider, and I enjoy being one. My dreams are big, but I'm working on them. I got interest in writing, creating my own characters, letting them live a life I decide. It was also a way to let my emotions out. I guess this one time the stress was too big. In my dream, I was sitting there in a beautiful garden full of flowers, drinking tea, and speaking to a person who is very important to me. We were talking about many topics. I can't remember the last time I smiled so much. He even flew with me to Santa Monica, a destination I want to visit, but alone. In the middle of the flight I woke up. I've never felt so horrible. I wanted to continue the dream so bad. No, I just never wanted it to end. This person, this guy, was like a father to me. He took his own life a long time ago. I was crying that night so much as I said. I guess the stress was big. Since exams were coming up, my hair was even falling out, and I couldn't sleep properly for days. Every night, before falling asleep, I think about the dream, hoping to have a chance to continue it. It isn't really falling in love, but it's a dream about a loved one. But I do love him more after I dreamt about him. Whenever I've had a crush on someone, they end up in a dream at some point, it seems. I don't really recall any specific examples though. You basically just explained it. Yes, I'm in a fulfilling romantic relationship with a guy, but have had multiple dreams of getting it on with women that have low-key made me question my sexuality. Maybe it's a side of me I've never explored. I had no idea this was so common. My memory is pretty hazy, but it was back in 10th grade I believe. Had a dream about me driving up to a woman's house in the countryside. She was dressed in dark colors and looked sad. We didn't talk, but she reluctantly pointed me in the direction of another woman in an all-white dress. I felt bad for the woman dressed in black and was reluctant to leave her, but continued to approach the woman in white. We didn't talk, but she looked at me and I felt what I think is love. I have social anxiety, but back then it was way worse. This woman's presence made me feel complete warmth, comfort and belonging. I've never had the same feeling since, and I felt like a part of me was ripped out when I woke up. It's stuck with me ever since, but I usually just chalk it up to hormones. I don't remember much, but one day I dreamed that I was dating this girl who was just amazing. When I woke up and realized she didn't even existed, it kind of hurted. I've been waiting so long to tell this story, so all I can remember is me and another man were just lying on a single bed together, staring at the ceiling talking. We were holding hands too, and I remember I felt like I'd fallen in love, and I just wanted to stay there forever. I can't exactly remember what he looked like, but I just had a really strong feeling in the dream. When I woke up, I really missed the person I'd met in my dream, and how magical it felt. I guess it felt amazing too because of how lonely I am. I still sometimes wish I could see him in my dreams again. I dreamt I was holding a baby girl, my daughter. It felt so real and made me desire even more to be a parent. This was a couple years ago when my wife and I started trying for a baby. Fast forward to today, approximately 2 months away from meeting our daughter. This is probably gonna get buried, but I had a dream in which everyone had a soulmate. And if you meet said soulmate, wings would emerge from your back, creating this very breathtaking scene where you lock eyes with your soulmates and their wings just frame their body. So, it started with me sitting with my family. Everything was semi-clear, but I remember being bored and leaving the building. I wandered around and ended up in front of a forest with a path going in. I followed the path and it led to a cliff where you can see the city view. It was night. Before me were two girls, both hand interlocked with each other. I don't remember what they looked like, but what I do remember is this sense of falling in love and lightness. It was such a nice feeling. When we three locked eyes, I felt the wings emerge from my back and then I woke up. I used to dream about a guy who would recurringly appear in my dreams and we would recognize each other. I believed we were two real people who would meet up in our dreams when we slept and dreamt at the same time. Never saw him again after I moved into a new time zone. I realized this was probably just me being lonely and manifesting a friend crush. But just in case, if in one of your dreams you were a street racer and met a girl who did broomstick racing and we had some beers, hi, I have a crush on you. Sometimes I feel like these dreams are past lovers from former lives we lived in the past. Had this happen, but it was a kid I absolutely hated. I roll. I still can't look at him the same. Not a person, but food I really liked. Purple pizza that tasted like ice cream but slightly warmer, and this light warm honey mixed with hot cocoa. Alright, I will try to recall everything as best I can. I think I had just finished watch Saga of Tanya the Evil and Hogan's Heroes Iroll, so that might have caused the scenario. World War II or some time frame similar. Nazis were leading the charge once again. Being open about being a Jew, I was captured quickly and put into a camp. There wasn't any mass murders like the Hollow, just a lot of get to work, getting thrown about. A high-ranking officer in my section. She was kind to her prisoners. We constantly were doing better than the other groups, simply because of how she treated us. Her name was Zoe, I think. Mid-upper back, white hair, vibrant blue eyes, unblemished skin, maybe a B cup, 5 feet 2, 5 feet 3 inches. It had been about a year at this point. The captivity felt very real. The food was alright, but nothing amazing. The work, It hurt me. The people, they all had stories and personalities. Most real a dream of mine has ever been. Winter arrived. I enjoyed the snow, having only ever seen it in shows and games. I was given a beating for not doing work. Some days I can still feel it eye roll. But after the beating, I was dragged into Zoe's office for interrogation. I walked in and was hit in the face with central heating. I was green with envy. I don't remember the exact events after that, but I do recall somehow she was sitting on her desk and was flirting with me. It went further. I was happy, and so was she. If she was after information, maybe she forgot. This went on and on for a while. It was summer when I woke up. I now understand roleplay in the bedroom. Actually had a dream after a breakup that my boss seduced me, not in a corny way. Put her hand on the side of my face while outside the building. Asked me to dinner, etc. When I woke up, I realized there were other people out there, but I did not pursue my boss, even though in the dream I was extremely taken with the person and the gesture. Oh, my time has come. So there was this boy in my class. He was really handsome and on a school trip we had chatted the whole time. We were in the same group. I enjoyed talking to him, but I didn't get a crush on him or anything. A few weeks later I randomly had a dream that he liked me and he came to my house and we did our homework together and we were super cute and nothing mattered but us. When I woke up I legit laid down for 15 minutes wondering if I would ever feel loved and had a crush on him. I don't remember the dream, but I knew I was dreaming. I've been trying astral projection and lucid dreaming. I remember the short-haired goddess I met. I was instantly in love. She was vibrating on my same level. It was like meeting my soulmate's soul. Then I woke up. I'm crying just writing about and recalling the experience. Duck. I'm going to go cry in the shower now. TLDR met my soulmate while lucid dreaming. Woke up to reality. I think I've had this happen more than once. I'm used to heartbreak and feeling like something's missing though, so it's not a big deal. I had 2 dreams about this guy. I don't know his name or what his whole face looked like, but he was tall, dark-skinned. He had an amazing smile. He was gentle and soft when he spoke, and I felt like I could spend eternity just sitting under the stars and talking to him. In the first dream, I met him at school, and I ended up leaving my friends behind to go and sneak into the auditorium with him. And we just sat on the stage and chatted for what felt like ages. He spoke to me as if I really mattered, as if I meant something even when I don't feel like I do. I don't remember how it ended, but I remember just seeing him smile and I just felt so at peace. In the next dream, I moved with my family into this new apartment, and he came to visit. I'm pretty sure he lived near me in this one. We talked for a long time until the sun rose the next day, and then he just says call me if you need anything, and I mean anything, and then he gives me his name and phone number. Later in my dream I was home alone and someone was breaking in, so I reached for my phone to call him for help. Don't know why I didn't call the police lol, but I woke up right as I looked at the phone. I remember his name started with a V and ended with an R. It's amazing how much this stranger's been on my mind. And I've even tried to look up names to see if any of them ring a bell. The hopeless romantic in me says this guy really exists, but then again I still feel the sadness knowing he probably doesn't. I still think about him all the time. Haha. Not a person, but a name. Now, before I say this, I mean no disrespect to anyone named Chet. I know that names don't reflect people's personalities. I ducking hate the name Chet. I hate it. I don't know why. I've never known a Chet. I just do. Well, I had a dream once that I was in love with this dude named Chet and I fell in love with the name. Like I just saw it differently in the dream or something. Then when I woke up, I visualized it differently and the name meant everything to me. It lasted about 6 months. Nope. My dreams are mostly about escaping death or being targeted somehow. Once I had a dream like that about being super in love and in a happy relationship with some guy I had been friends with a few years prior. Waking up I had this feeling of loss and was kinda mourning for a few days even though I was never really in love with that person. Way more common for me though is actually falling in love in my dreams. Every now and then I will have a very intense sex dream involving a friend and when I wake up I find myself super excited and in love with that person. This feeling doesn't go away for a long time, so I guess I maybe fall in love with someone and the dream is simply a way of realizing it.